How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome back to Daoshi and Jiangshi and Daoshi. I'm flustered. You'll understand. I accidentally clicked, instead of continue, I clicked start. And it started the game at the very, very beginning again. And that meant it undid the save it does when it checkpoints, just like for you to continue. So I had to figure out where I was in the story and jump to it. Unfortunately, it's not super, like, it's not that it's not easy, but it was tough figuring out exactly where I was because I didn't want to accidentally jump too far. So I had to jump in a lot of things, and it was kind of a nightmare, mostly for me, just because I'm stubborn and weird. But we're finally here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, it turns out we're probably close to the end. I might even finish today. It kind of depends. All I know is that we're in the last chapter of this book, which is the last book of the game. So, I'm not sure how long it'll be, but we're practically at the end. So if it's not this week, I bet you it's next week. And frankly, I would be shocked if it wasn't this week, because it really feels like we're at the climax of this story anyway. So, where are we exactly? Well, this place is being ripped apart by a nine-tailed fox who is impervious to curses and also has countermeasures against mundane weapons. He's here, he's in the shop, he's here to finish what he started, because he's the kind of #1 agent of an apostate. He's effectively a cruel, like, Taoist who has decided to achieve immortality not through, heightening of achieving, well, I don't even know what the word exactly would be, nirvana, I don't know. Something like achieving enlightenment, that's the word, enlightenment. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna shortcut this. So he's gonna effectively rip a part of his own organs out, killing his old body. And then magically implanting himself into the womb of a high chi individual whom he quickly then regrows a new body and bursts out of. Horrific. He chose me, who was able to foil him, and has thus kind of inherited some apostate features where she's now super, super strong, has a giant hole in her stomach, and is technically immortal-ish. Ish is being the big keyword there. But her twin sister is now in danger because the apostate's going to attempt to implant himself through her again to complete the ritual. So Nine-Tailed Fox is here to do that. Fortunately, he's really, really strong. But Luan's here, and Luan does not take any crap. So this is going to be a nightmare, and it's going to be bloody, and it's going to be awesome. So it's time to see how this all plays out. Let's jump into it. So he says it's time to feast on rabbit meat. Shin approached Infa, because she's here trying to fight him off, and everything she's tried, she's been able to get the drop on him a lot, but hasn't quite worked out. He walked at a leisurely pace. It was either a display of sheer conceitedness or an attempt to instill terror in his opponent. It might have seemed a foolish thing to do, yet he had the certain kind of regal solemnity to it. The kind permitted only to the highest echelons of monsters and yokai. Yeah, I think you're in trouble now. Infa made a noise, having just noticed something in the corner of the casino. For a moment, Shin was about to follow her gaze, but...
おっと、もう騙されないわよ。あなたから目をそらさないんだから。
Crap. Shin flashed a beastly smile. Oh, but unfortunately, but just then...
よ、一杯おごるぜ。
Luan addressed Shin from the inch behind his face. Wait, whoa, what did he just do? Shin turned around only to be splashed in the face by alcohol. Fire. Can fire burn through his enchantments? That's something that happens in mythology. The fox didn't quite process what had just happened. But then the intense smell of ethanol reached his nostrils. He finally noticed the presence of a lighter in Luan's hand. It illuminated the young Shashu's face in a strangely ominous way.
こいつは失礼。濡れちゃったな。乾かしてやんねえと。
Oh boy. Luan tossed the lighter at Shin without any hint of remorse. A moment later, raging crimson flames enveloped the fox's head. Kilojoules. Sin fell to the ground, covering his face. The intense heat left him half blinded and unable to breathe. Yeah, like, in, like, some of the, like, kind of modern fantasy lore especially, I'm going to specifically point to Dresden Files. magic has a way of burning away magic and enchantments. It's a purification, you know, kind of like the idea of taking something and reducing it to its base components. Because it does that fundamentally to matter encounters, but it also does it to the magical side of things. This is the same thing about running water. Running water grounds magic as well, eroding away the complexities and the entwinements that are made in the natural order. So that's why there's always those stories about things like, a vampire can't cross running water. It's interesting, but like there's a fun logic to it if you apply it properly, and it really I bet you that's part of what's happening here. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Ignoring the fox writhing on the ground, Luan strode over to Infa and offered her a hand.
よし、さっさと逃げるぞ、インファ。
Oh, so he's not going to take him out here, he's just distracting him? What is that thing? Good grief. Finally released from his agony, Shin stared at the corridor with a soot-covered face. It was completely deserted. Luan and Infa had vanished without a trace.
あのクソガキ、よくも私の顔を焼いてくれたわね。許さない。絶対に食い殺して永遠に奴隷にしてやるわ。
燃えてるね。
Shin heard Luan's carefree voice from behind. Oh, fetch. Whoa, no! As Shin turned around, Luan rammed a hose of fire extinguisher down into his mouth. It slid all the way in, its hose reaching into the fox's esophagus. That would... what's he about to happen to would be horrifying, but even that would be horrifying. Said hose was also covered in lighter fluid to make the insertion go smoother. Fetch.
復讐にボーボー燃えてるけど、火はちゃんと消さねえとな。
Oh no. And with that, Luan pulled the fire extinguisher's trigger. Now, this machine is about depriving oxygen, so maybe he was able to see that he looks like he can suffocate. So if this is that kind of deprives of oxygen, where it absorbs oxygen, this literally could suffocate him pretty much instantly. And I'm not sure he'd be able to clear it out of his lungs, even if he is a superpowered being. Extinguishing propellant propelled forward, filling Shin's insides. Oh, is he gonna explode? Oh, no. If that would have been a lung exploding into his that's horrifying. Shin's belly bulged out as if he were pregnant. Oh, the irony. He fell to his knees and began coughing up extinguent with a strained expression. It was salty and bitter at the same time, making Shin's digestive tract, from the tip of his nose to the depths of his throat, feel like it had just been grated with sandpaper. Oh. He stuck out his tongue, hoping desperately that inhaling air would help alleviate the nightmarish sensation. The one thing he craved the most was water. He would have gladly given away half his fortune for a single cup.
内臓が機能しなくなるから多分できないとは思ったが、やっぱ腹の中までは石化しねえみたいだな。
Are you gonna put a grenade in there then? Luan's lips curled into a cruel smile. Seeing his enemy in such a miserable state was warming his heart.
おお、人間なら胃袋破れて死ぬのに、さすがは妖怪。口から突っ込んでダメなら、
Oh, that...
尻から突っ込んでみるか。
Luan, you freaking terrifying. Shin panically covered his backside in response to Luan's terrifying words. Luan took the fire extinguisher and smashed it into the back of Shin's head. With his hand behind him, the fox fell to the ground face first. As soon as he was prone, Luan bashed his head with the fire extinguisher again. And again, he silently continued beating away at Shin's head for a while. He seemed almost like an automaton that would repeat the same action over and over again with meticulous precision and deadly force. Luan's one-sided display of violence continued for a while. It began to look more like torture than a proper battle.
ああ、ダメだわ。人間の力じゃ頭かち割って脳症をぶちまけさせるには力不足だわ。あと、正直飽きたなこれ。
やっと終わった？
Uh-oh. Just as Shin was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the sound of broken glass reached his ears. It was enough to instantly fill his head with a grisly scene of his potential future.
ガシャ
まさか
Oh no. Luan seized the fox by his legs and pulled him back. Oh no. When Shin raised his head, he saw the blue of the sky in front of him. He could clearly see both the corridor and the sky's deep azure hue. Luan, like the mischievous boy playing baseball with his next neighbor's house, had broken the window glass. Shin's face went to whiter than the clouds swimming across the sky.
ちょ待って待って待って待って
How? Why would that be dangerous to you?
あんた私を誰だと思ってるのキュービよ偉大なキュービの狐よ人間ごときが私を
Luan tossed Shin out the window. And so the fox fell 10 stories. And hit the ground like a bag of very unfortunate potatoes. So why couldn't he just turn to stone? He let out a wordless scream in response to the shock of the impact, as well as the incredible pain that followed.
死んだかなああ、ダメだ。芋虫みたいにのたうってら。
No one inspected the scene below through the broken window. He then glanced at Infa and gave her a daring smile.
やっぱ、非力な人間じゃ妖怪は倒せないな。
Uh-huh.
よし、今度こそ逃げるか、インファ。
No way!
ルアンはイエンドのシャーシューではないぞ。バレーの弟子だぞ。
Ling Ling was positively fuming.
ごめんなさいね。
You're not sorry.
かわいい。
Meanwhile, Yen spent some quality time recharging her spirit. To be continued. Book 7, Imposter.
さーて、怖い妖怪が戻ってくる前に、とっとと逃げるぞ。
Great. Despite him using the word scary, he gave no indication of actually being afraid.
やっぱりこいつは変わってない。
Thought Infa as she looked at Luan.
同志リンリンと出会ってから少しは人間らしくなったかと思ったけど、やっぱり違う。
Yeah.
人であろうが妖怪であろうが自分以外は全て破壊対象でしかない。
He's pretty calculated. Like, it's all about balancing the equation.
ルアンはリンリンにのみ優しいだけだ。
Well, I think she was kind to him first, really. That was Infa's impression of the ruthless high-spec instrument of violence standing before her.
ん？どうしたインファ？
Luan approached the girl with a puzzled expression.
さすがは殺人鬼ルアン様ね。
Said Infa in a soulless tone.
相変わらず戦い方がえげつないわね。見ているこっちが引いたわ。
To be fair, so did I.
ああ。
Luan scratched the back of his head, then continued in his usual unconcerned tone.
元とはいえ、仲間のお前を足毛にしたからな。ちょっと向かってきてやりすぎちった。
Maybe.
どうしたインファ？顔赤いぞ。
なんでもないわよ。
Luan, no. Oh, that's like a skull in the sun. Did you see that? Shin wailed with his back against the hard concrete. Clatter, clatter, clatter. His teeth wouldn't stop clattering.
あの男恐ろしい一切の容赦もためらいもない暴力の行使あの方を思い出すわ
He was the embodiment of violence. From the moment they met, Shin had been subjugated by his overwhelming power both in mind and body. Using just one hand, a man in a white coat, Xiao Lin, held the defeated Shin up by the neck. Oh, that's the doctor, isn't it?
ふむキュービの狐と聞いたから期待したが所詮は宦官かキュービの主会三国ケーキパイとは比べ物にならんな
Interesting. Xiao Lin seized Shin's trembling right hand with his left.
まあいい君の性能を試したい岩石鋼を使いたまえどの程度耐えられるかな
Xiao Lin's left hand lit up.
スーザン師匠権金剛力
Oh, so he's one of those like enhancement people. Shin's stone arm groaned in response to the immense force. Oh, the crunch of breaking bones reverberated across the field.
まだ 10%。握力500キロ程度の力だぞ。もろいな。
Dang.
君の力はこの程度じゃないだろう。さて次は。
Sheldon's right hand coiled around Shin's neck, lit up next.
死ぬ気で頑張りたまえ。
Said the spectacled man in an icy tone. Ugh. Why is everyone so psychotic? Shin couldn't help but be reminded of another violent being from his past. His skin broke out in goosebumps, his stomach convulsed like a dying cicada.
さっきの男、力こそまだ人間の領域だが、あの方、シャオリン先生を思い出す。やばい。あの男はやばい。すぐに逃げなくては。
His decision was made rather quickly. If he were to prioritize his own life and well-being above all else, then indeed this was the most logical choice. One could commend Shin's perceptiveness for seeing through Luan so quickly, despite the significant power difference between the two. Yet, not many in this world could have veered their lives in a direction they truly desired. Yokai, naturally, were no exception.
やあ、シン君。
Oh no. Something addressed the discouraged nine-tailed fox. Shin's muscles tensed up in an instant. Raising his upper body, he saw a cat, white as snow, standing before him.
不覚を取ったようだね。
その声はシャオリン先生。
Ah, interesting. Shin's body jerked up like he'd just been electrocuted. Nyan.
アイドルとして少々目立つため手を出しづらかったタオミーニャンニャン。そんな彼女が何があっても闇から闇へ処理される黒社会の組織に来た。邪戦を秘密裏に復活させるまたとない機会だというの。
This isn't really quiet. It's
まさ
been
か
pretty.
逃げる気かね。
It's been pretty opposite of quiet.
いや、そのようなことは。
Answered Shin, his trembling growing more noticeable.
シン
Yeah.
君、君を食わずに生かしておいたのは生きていた方が役に立つと思ったからだ。
That's a scary cat.
しかし生きて役に立たないのであれば。
The white cat considered the fox's cold eyes.
食肉に加工するよ。
Okay. He's gonna eat him? Is that how he got so strong he eats yokai? That would explain a lot. Shin's face turned deathly pale.
問題ありません、シャオリン先生。必ずや本日中に邪戦様を復活させてご覧に入れます。
頑張りたまえ。
Said the white cat, licking itself clean.
今宵の食卓に並びたくなければ。
Uh-huh. Oh boy. That's pretty darn cute. Luan carried Infa to the infirmary.
ま、ここまで運んでおけば大丈夫だろ
Luan lowered Infa to a bed, releasing her from the prince's carry.
ありがとう。
Boy, I bet that was hard to say.
う。ん？なんか言ったか？
なんでもないわよ、バカ。
Infa hurriedly averted her gaze and hid her blushing cheeks from Luan. What? I can't hear you.
そういや、インファ。妹のジンファはどこ行った？今日まだ見てねえんだけど。
Oh, jeez, what is
ジンファ
that?
はゲストの護衛に回されてるわ。
姉さん意地悪な配置するな。あの殺人大好きっ子にはきついだろうに。
Luan's tone carried a hint of lighthearted humor.
あんたがいなくなってからうちのシャーシューのエースはあの子だからね。ジンファ
Right.
にはいろいろと我慢も覚えてもらわないと。
Infa heaved a sigh that did little to mask her exhaustion.
そういや、インファ。お前、妹のジンファに嫉妬したりとかしねえの？
そりゃ 妹にシャーシューとして踊るのは悔しいし、嫉妬しないわけじゃないけどさ。でも
Infa's face took on a complicated expression.
ほら、あの子って結構危なっかしいでしょ。私がちゃんと面倒見てあげないとって感覚の方が強いわね。
Right. She hits unstable's the word.
そういうもんか。
そういうもんなの。
Said Infa, her expression a mixture of frustration and happiness. The casino guests had evacuated to a different VIP room compared to the one where Ling Ling and the others were staying. Is everything okay? The guests all looked about with uneasy expressions. Some tried to present a front of composure, but deep down they were just as restless as their peers. Others looked completely expressionless because the stress was simply too much for their minds to bear.
皆さん、落ち着いてください。
Oh no.
何があっても私が守りますから。
Said the trembling Jinfa, her face pale as a rabbit's fur. Look how hard the little girl's trying to keep together. We need to band up as well. She's cute. Hecka cute. Isn't that Jinfa the berserker? Hope it's okay for her to be here. Can't be in the same room with a murderer. I'm leaving. Would that be the last words I ever said? That's for sure. I'll just stay here minding my own business while avoiding eye contact. The people in the room continued to occupy themselves with thoughts that had little to do with their current predicament.
殺したい。殺したい。ここにいる人を全員殺したいよ。
Oh boy.
我慢できないよ。
Oh boy.
というか、我慢しなくてもいいかな。
Right. This somewhat eccentric young girl wrestled the inner demons that once unleashed would spell only disaster for those around her. She wasn't trying particularly hard to contain said demons, though. But these poor guests fell victim to her insatiable bloodlust.
あれ？
Thankfully, Jinfa took notice of something before instinct could overpower reason. She looked over the faces of the guests and sniffed them like a dog. Huh? What are you... The guest sniffed by the girl broke into embarrassed, vaguely happy smiles. She might have been a blood-crazed killer on the inside, but as far as appearances were concerned, she was just a petite, attractive girl. Few could blame the men for reacting the way they did. A person's looks made up 120% of who they were. The rest didn't matter one bit. The number exceeded mathematical limits because a woman's outward appearance simply held that much sway over a man's actions.
一瞬、殺気が漏れた。
She had discovered a prey far more interesting than a band of nobodies. The girl's lips contorted into an expression of joy.
羊の群れに一匹だけ狼が混じってるよ。
Oh boy. She wasn't just a crazed killer. A certain aptitude qualified this petite girl as the organization's shashu. Hey!
よ、みんな待たせたな。
Luan approached the others with a smile. Oh, interesting. The four girls seemed to be at a loss for words. Is he telling a joke or what?
よくぞ戻ってきた。ルアン、キュービを退けるとは見事だ。
Ling Ling managed to stammer out a few words of praise. But before she could advance, Yen grabbed her by the hand and carried her away.
はい、リンちゃんはこっち。
She senses something too, right?
さてと、
Oh,
うーちゃん、キュービ撃退お疲れ様。彼はどうなりました？
right.
ああ、あの狐なら尻尾巻いて逃げたよ。
そうですか。あ、そういえばうーちゃんに渡したいものがあるんですよ。手を。
Oh no.
ん？何？
Luan casually extended his arm toward Yen. The woman then placed an orange into his palm.
え？
Okay, what? Yen kicked the thoroughly flabbergasted Luan. The young man fell to his backside, still holding the orange in his hand.
間抜けですね、シンさん。
Said Yen with a cold smile. Oh. Kind of hard to lie as a Luan when she's talking to Luan. She struck the earphone in her ear.
本物のうーちゃんとは今もリアルタイムで会話中ですよ。
The fake Luan let out a witless gasp. The next moment, the orange in his hand exploded. Well, okay. The end unfolded two steel fans, one in each hand, to shield Ling Ling from harm. The smoke settled, Shin's tall frame came into view once again. While parts of him had turned to stone, it was obvious the fox had suffered significant damage. He wasn't able to respond in time.
タオ殿ミー殿今こそ決着を
Uh-oh. But what Ling Ling saw as he said that made her stop. Mi felt like a marionette with its string cut. Ling Ling caught the girl before she could hit the ground, and immediately realized something. She's no pulse. Wait. No.
体内に一切の気魂魄が存在しておらぬ
How did that happen?
死んでる
She's holding Mi's lifeless body. Ling Ling threw a glance at Tao, hoping to get some help.
タオ殿
Oh no. What Ling Ling saw was Tao slowly approaching Shin with her hands spread wide apart.
やったこの時が来た
What? Oh no. The weakened fox took out a Jian pot. And then the apostate's embryo flew toward the ghoulishly smiling Tao. What the fetch is happening? Ling Ling howled at the top of her lungs. Tao, however, continued to smile in silence. Okay. Why would she just let this happen? The apostate's embryo flew toward her belly. Okay. Luan came out of nowhere and tackled Tao out of its way. Having lost its target, the embryo made a wide arc and returned to the pot.
さっきの男ね今度はひっ
The sight of the fire extinguisher in Luan's hand made Shin take a step back. A second later, Luan unloaded the contents of the fire extinguisher, creating a smoke screen to hide himself. Tao, lying on the ground with tears welling in her eyes, muttered that single word like it were a curse.
ダメなのに私はここで死ななきゃダメなのに
Why? Her dazed eyes darted in all directions, trying to spot something.
ああ、もうめんどくせえな。いいからこっち来い。
Oh
そこ
no.
の死体も一緒にな。
Luan did his best to carry both Tao and me at the same time. Time wife escape? What? Then quickly darted off. Yeah. Everyone evacuated to a small room some distance away from the scene. Ling Ling looked at Tao with admonishing eyes.
一体どういうことなのだタオ殿なぜ先ほどわざと邪戦を受け入れようとしたのだ
At the moment, she noticed something. Tao's clothing rolled up, up a little as Luana carried her, revealing her porcelain white skin as well as a certain something on it.
すまぬ
Was it a trap? Is that what it was? Ling Ling pulled Tao's shirt up. Yeah, I think she set herself up as a trap. Her lower abdomen was covered in charms.
これは爆砕法の符タオ殿そなた死ぬつもりだったのか
Tao simply averted her eyes in response to the Ling Lings. The curse is written in chicken blood. Looks way over. Yeah.
師匠、こっちのミーにも符が貼ってあったんですけど、これの種類はわかりますか？
Ling Ling left Mi's body, now nothing more than a lifeless doll. A part of her dress had been torn apart, revealing her petite limbs. Several more charms littered her silky white skin.
これは銅山法の符だ
So she was dead. She was just a zombie.
なんだ一体どういうことさ
とっくの昔にアイドル同士のミーは死んでたってことですよ。俺らが喋っていたのはこのタオが操る死体人形だったってことっす。
Mm-hmm. Ling Ling's eyes widened like a pair of full moons.
疑われていたことはうすうす感じていましたが、
Asked Tao. Oh,
気づいたんですか？
asked Tao in a small voice.
違和感を覚えたのは俺がお前の顔に酒をぶっかけた時。あの時このミーはあまりに無反応すぎた。誰かさんのコントロールから外れたようにな。
That's big brain right there.
あの時
Tao remembered how she closed her eyes when Luan launched that surprise attack.
で、気になったから試してみたんだ。タバコに火をつけるふりをしてな。
Luan went on, reenacting his actions from earlier.
あの時のミーの発言、おかしいだろ？なんでタオの顔にかけられた液体が燃えるほど高濃度のアルコールって分かったんだ？
That's a fair point. Oh gosh, I didn't even think of that.
匂いが届くような距離じゃねえしな。あれが燃える酒って知ってたのはタオ、お前だけだ。あのセリフでほぼ確信した。人形か死体か知らないが、ミーはタオが操ってる何かだってな。
Oh boy. Tao burst into maniac laughter.
すごいです、ルアン君。警戒していた時にはもう全部バレちゃってたんですね。
Luan showed little or no reaction to the response of Tao's outburst.
別にわざとらしく大声出さなくても、芯をおびき寄せたきゃ適当に銃って呼んでやるよ。だから安っぽい演技はやめれ。
Blush. Beads of sweat glistened on Tao's forehead. She was no longer smiling. That's impressive, Luan. You'd see through me from the very start. Mwahahahaha. Yeah, it is a little cliche.
本当、ルアン君はなんでもお見通しなんですね。じゃあ、私が死にたがってた理由も分かってますね。
いや、全然。
Said Luan with his arms spread wide, his voice lighter than hydrogen.
理屈に基づくもんならわかるけど、感情を元にしたもんなんて全くわかんねえ。
So you're like, I get way things happen. I don't get why.
そうですか。教えてくれ、ダオ殿。なぜ命を粗末にする？
Ling Ling asked with a pained expression, almost as though her heart was about ready to burst.
ルアン君は賢く優秀で、リンリンちゃんはまっすぐですね。
That was cool. The eyes tracking like that. That's really
自分の中
neat.
に芯があります。
Tao uttered. Her eyes went pregnant with sorrow.
そんな人たちにはわかりませんよ。私みたいな芯のない、芯を持てない人間の気持ちは。ダオ殿。
Ling Ling gave the girl an anxious look while the latter silently continued. Oh,
兄
okay.
ちゃんを殺したのは
Wait,
私
what?
です。
What? What? Her restrained voice rang unusually loud in the silence of the room. Sisters. Okay. Atop the vulnerable mountain of Taishan.
見てたお姉さん、登山法できたわ。
With that, Mi placed a charm on a huge boulder and made it fly up into the air.
わあ、すごいよ、みーちゃん。
Tao clapped her hands with an expression of palpable joy. 1980? 100 or yen, maybe. People began gathering around me. You're incredible. How'd you do it? Can you teach us? Wow, she's a real genius. Everyone regarded the girl with a smile.
動産法はコツがあってね。
Tao silently observed me and her entourage from the sidelines. Me had completely forgotten about Tao's existence. As for the others, they never even noticed her to begin with. Okay. Really? That's enough to make you want to let her die? Tao felt as though she existed in a separate dimension.
みーちゃんは妹は明るくって優しくて、私なんかと違って誰からも好かれたの。
Tao continued in a choked voice. Her tone, however, soon turned heated.
私は妹を守り尊敬されるお姉ちゃんになりたかったのに、みーちゃんはいつも私の前を行ってた。そんな妹が誇らしかったけど、同時に憎くて。
Right.
だけどそうやって嫉妬する自分が何よりも嫌で。
Tao smiled like someone who had just managed to extract their revenge.
そんな中、あのシンが邪戦の体を持ってやってきたの。
Okay. The apostate's embryo flew Mi's way.
おっと、危ない
The girl dodged it with finesse.
てか、気弾符が効かないけど、あんたキュービー？ああ、もう厄介ね。ほら、潰れちゃいなさい。銅山砲！
Wow, she sounds so nice. Mi cast a charm in a humongous boulder. Oh gosh, it floated up in the air like a balloon. Then, like a lost child who had finally spotted her mother, it darted quickly toward the man holding Jian's embryo. Oh, although it soared through the air, the boulder's weight had not decreased in the slightest, and it crashed into the ground with a resounding thud. Shin managed to dodge out of the way with a well-timed roll.
やるわね、不術師ミー。
Oh man, I'm so gonna die. Having just barely avoided being squashed like a frog on the highway, Shin felt a cold sweat breaking on his skin. He's not that good, is he? Mi was skilled enough to at manipulation to pose a very real threat to Shin.
ほら、タオ姉さん、危ないからここは私に任せて。姉さんのことは私が守ってあげる。
Despite being in the middle of a life and death battle, Mi had still the capacity to pay attention to her surroundings. Tao stepped back, agreeing to watch her sister from a distance.
大山派が苦手なキュービと互角以上に戦えるなんて、みーちゃんはすごい。みーちゃんはお姉ちゃんにとって自慢の妹だよ。でも、
A series of images flooded through the back of Tao's mind as she observed the fight.
姉さんのことは私が守ってあげる。そのセリフは私がみーちゃんに言いたかったのに。
Dang, though, but this could push you to murder?
ほら、姉さん、触下法はこうやるのよ。そんな風に私がみーちゃんに教えたかったのに。
Plus, you're twins. Doesn't matter who's older or younger, honestly. It matters to you, but still, silly.
泣かないでたお姉さん。姉さんをいじめるやつは私がやっつけてやるわ。みーちゃんが私に優しくすればするほど、みーちゃんが私にとって自慢になればなるほど、みーちゃんのことが好きになればなるほど、みーちゃんのことがどうしようもなく憎くなっちゃう。
Stupid. Tao cast her gaze downward, her face twisting into a malicious expression.
みーちゃん、負 けないかな。
As she came back to her senses, Tao spotted the apostate's embryo flying her way. In the next moment, though, Mi jumped in front of her and ended up getting hit by the embryo instead. Oh.
あの時本当は私が死ぬべきだったの。この私の醜い心がみえちゃんを殺したの。
Tao burst out as her tears began trickling down her cheeks. Her face, identical to me, is contorted in grief, emanating an almost ethereal beauty.
先ほど私たちの手で始末しないと許せない相手と言ってましたが、それは真のことではなく、タオさん、あなた自身のことでしたか？
Tao responded to Yen's question with a nod.
だから今度こそは私がみーちゃんの代わりにみーちゃんと同じように死んで邪戦を吹き飛ばさないと。
ちゃん、どこかの漫画の主人公みたく説得する気ありません？
Fetch, calling it out as it is, huh?
タオさんは金払いのいい乗客なんで生きててほしいんですが。
Yen's expressed her concern for Tao in her own peculiar way.
俺には無理っすよ姉さん。感情で動いてるやつを断りで解き伏せるなんてできねえっす。
Came Luan's answer in a resigned tone. Most people, save for Ling Ling, recognized Luan's lack of emotional attachment. Yet this time, the young man's words were inspired not by his callous nature, but by the fact that he knew there was another person better fit for the task.
感情を止めるには正論じゃなくて
Compassion.
愛わかったタオ殿。
Ling Ling interrupted Luan.
それでは今こそ不幸の償いをしよう。
Tao was momentarily overwhelmed by the young girl's sudden outburst.
目の前でタオ殿が死ぬのを見過ごせぬ。我の身代わりにて邪戦の体を受けよう。
Wait, how's that a response?
ちょっとそれって。
Ling Ling's outrageous suggestion caused Tao to become even more bewildered.
いざキュービ真のもとへ。
Sounding a vigorous shout, Ling Ling promptly darted out of the room.
待って私はそんなこと望んでなんか。
Tao hurried after Ling Ling. Only Luan and Yen remained in the room.
感情を止めるのは正論じゃなくてそれ以上にぶっ飛んだ暴論っすよ。
確かに。でもこのままじゃリンちゃんが腹ぼてになっちゃいますよ。
Unless you wanted something about it, Ling Ling wound up with a round belly.
ん？なあ、さっきのセリフから考えて別に大丈夫っしょ。ミーも亡くなってるし。
Hmm. Luan glanced around the area where he'd left Ming's corpse. Alright, now here's the thing. Normally, for time, I would end here, but I really think we're close to the end. But I feel like there's going to be more to it too. Tell you what. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end. So thank you guys so much for being here today. This has been This game is a roller coaster. It's just ups and downs, left and rights, twists and turns, and there's like twists on twists on twists. That's it's kind of what makes it really spectacular in a way, and the art and the interesting styles that they do. But for now, I'm happy enough with with it as it is. Sad that we're getting close to the end. It really makes me think there must be more down the line. I hope there's more sequels and stuff coming out because I kind of want to see how this is all supposed to end. But like based on like the chapter progression and like when I found out where we are in the story, yeah, I think we're almost at the very tail end of this game. So it's kind of sad, but I'm excited to see the ending of this fight and to learn a bit more maybe about like the motivations of the bad guys. But that'll all have to wait till next week. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for being here, and good grief, this year's almost over. I wonder, like, there's very likely that that we will start a new series on this Fridays before the end of the year, but man, it's weird. This year has been such a strange one, and it's kind of flown, but in a really long, drawn-out way. if that makes any sense. Yeah, but I guess for now, thank you so much for the patrons. Thank you. There's as they're shown here. Of course, if you are interested, if you become a patron, you will get access to the patron cast, which is something where the patrons are able to ask me direct questions via Discord, and I answer them directly in a very podcast. It's very low key. There's not much going on the screen, just me and talking. But it was really, really fun, and I've got a good response from the people who were able to see it last time. So if you ever want to see that playlist, all you have to do is become a patron. And the nice thing is that you get access to the playlist for the rest of time, even if you can no longer support me directly. Like, just doing it once is more than enough, more than I ever need. I do not need direct support to be able to continue to work on the channel. Anything that goes towards the production of the channel, like going to Patreon, is about establishing and hoping and reaching for a future where we can have greater content. If I can get sustainable, I could do this every day of the week. Until then, any funds I get are going to be put right into the channel when it comes to, like, maybe upgrading equipment, maybe getting commissions and art, maybe just being able to get my hands on some other games, or even being able to make new kinds of content that I have a lot of ideas for. Something I'm going to probably cover in Patreon casts in the future. But as for this December's Patreon cast, I got to say it's going to be something a little bit special. I'm excited to have a chance to share it with you all. So hopefully you guys are interested in that kind of thing if you want to continue supporting the channel. But frankly, being able to watch the videos here is more than enough. So thank you so much for doing that. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope you have a fantastic month. I'm going to be saying it a lot this month, but this is the month of turn-in. Talk about family, talk about loved ones, be able to kind of reflect and focus on goals and paths for the new year and things we hope to see and hope to be able to help bring about. But for now, I will leave you with that. So thank you, and until the next video, watch with me. I hope to see me in next. I'll see you there.